In this lesson, I'll show you how to multiply monomials. We'll start with question 1, where we're asked to simplify each expression. These questions require you to know the distributive law, and they're slightly easier than what you'll see in question number 2. So depending on your level, you may only need to know how to do question 1. To apply the distributive law, what we do is we take the factor that's on the outside, the monomial, in our case it's x, or in this generic example it's a, and you multiply this monomial to each of the terms within the bracket. And it doesn't matter how many terms are in the bracket. You could have several terms inside of the brackets, and you would have to multiply a to each of those terms. In our example, we have x times x. We'll use the exponent laws. X times x is x to the power of 2. X times 1 is 1x. And we can represent that simply with an x. But if you would like, you can place a 1 as a coefficient, though it's not necessary. In question B, we have 3m times this binomial, m plus m squared. 3m times m is 3m squared. 3m times m squared is 3m to the power of 3. Finally, we have the monomial negative y times this binomial. Negative y times y to the power of 2 is negative y to the power of 3. And negative y times negative 3 is positive 3y. Because two negatives make a positive. In question number 2, once again we're asked to simplify each expression. This time we have a binomial being multiplied to a polynomial. Collectively, what we're doing here is a technique known as expanding. And to expand such an expression, we start with the first term. Our first term here, this monomial is x. We'll multiply this to each of the terms in the adjacent bracket. So x times x squared is x to the power of 3. X times 4x is 4x squared. X times negative 3 is negative 3x. Once you've finished with all of the terms in this bracket, then you move on to this next term. Positive 2 times everything. So we have 2 times x to the power of 2 plus 2x squared. 2 times 4x is positive 8x. And 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. Once you've fully expanded this expression, then you collect like terms. This term and this term are alike. This term and this term are alike. This term and this term are on their own, so we write them out again. We have x to the power of 3. Now the yellows, that gives us 6x squared. Now these two, we have positive 5x, and then the minus 6. Notice how I've written my polynomial in order of degree. In question B, we have 4 minus x times 5 minus x times 6 plus x. We have a binomial multiplied to a binomial and then to another binomial. If you ever run into this situation, you want to take two groups of brackets at a time. So we'll focus on these two. We'll find out an expression, and then I'll multiply it to 6 plus x. 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times negative x is negative 4x. And then negative x times 5 is minus 5x. Negative x times negative x is positive x squared. We can combine these two terms. That gives us negative 9x. This expression represents the product of these two binomials. And now we'll multiply this to 6 plus x using the exact same technique as in a. 20 times 6 is 120. 20 times x is positive 20x. Minus 9x times 6 is minus 54x. Minus 9x times x is negative 9x squared. X to the power of 2 times 6, and finally x. This gives us 6x squared plus x cubed. Now we have to collect like terms. This term are alike. This term and this term are alike. And these two terms are on their own. Starting with x to the power of 3, and then these two combined give us negative 3x squared. These two combined give us negative 34x. And finally, 120. And there you have it. 5 examples on how to multiply polynomials.